They were simply delaying the inevitability of a Grexit, a Greek exit from the Euro system. You know, they fail on every standard that is necessary for membership. They're asking the members to support them in their profligate spending. So no, they haven't made enough of a move into an austerity program, and they complain they're being asked so much. Hey, wait a bit! There are several other current European Union members who have far stricter standards and are managing to stick to them. The Greeks, I'm afraid, have lived too well for too long and now have to get used to these at different times. That's tough, but so be it.
What about the argument, Thomas Piketty, the author of Capital, said, you know, that France and Germany themselves benefited from debt relief after World War II. Maybe they're being a little bit hypocritical, but I guess on the other hand, they can't let Greece off the hook and Greece decide how it'll pay back, because then everybody will jump on the bandwagon, the pigs nations, everybody in debt.
Unfortunate name, but if one has to look at that stage, France, Germany, post-World War reconstruction, they had been facing a common enemy. Now, if they have to do that, they all moved in the same direction. The enemy is the unwillingness to stick to proper budgeting rules, to make sure that the assets and liabilities, both sides of the cash book on expenses and spending, add up to the same number. Well, they haven't, and they haven't for a heck of a long time, and I think that they have to come into line. If not, they endanger the whole union. Of course, what then? One may say that Germany, particularly, is saying, look, any of you other peripheral members of the union, if you don't stand by what we have agreed, the standards we've agreed to, this is what can happen to you. That must get some of them trembling quite a lot, because there are a lot of hefty deficits that aren't balancing and don't look like balancing, and maybe it'll pull the whole union closer together to be a combined United States of Europe, rather than this scattered partnership they had.
Okay, so it may actually make the Eurozone stronger. Just
it could.
Your prediction, firstly, because now it's up to the Greek people to decide what Greece is going to do. What do you think will happen on Sunday?
Two things. What's it mean to Greece, and then going on from there, what's it mean to us? As far as Greece is concerned, I think they have...
do you think the Greek people, having felt the pain now, the queues already at the ATMs, the possibility of having their currency devaluated significantly, do you think they will vote yes or no?
It's difficult to say.
It's hard.
Not having a Greek background. But I think that they're going to say, we've been pushed so far, we're not going to be pushed any further, we're going to stand up. But that could only be if they don't go along with major change. It could only mean another further major blow to their economy, and I'm not sure Mr. Average Person in the street realizes quite how serious that's going to be. That the 25% or so unemployment number, heck, we've got that, we've got more than that. That the high unemployment is going to worsen, that you're going to have 4 or 5 families living in one house to try and combine income. That's not going to be easy to do.
Well, let's look at that. I was looking at a graph of Argentina. So when they defaulted, I think 2001, they were already in recession. But it deepened much more. If you look at the next year, their GDP contracted hugely. So is that the general trend? You default, your economy heads into decline. You've got inflation and low growth or no growth.
High inflation, unwillingness of your previous trading partners to trade with you. Who's going to say, I'll sell goods to you, let you import our goods to get your industry going again? Hey, are we going to get paid? I'm not sure. Therefore, the whole trading cycle grinds to a halt for a while, and I think that is the risk they're taking. But Francis, there's just one little thing. Yes, there's a threat to the banking system. If they don't have access to international funding, that's a major blow. There's nowhere else they can get funding. So if the banks don't have access themselves to new forms of capital, that's going to put a noose around the neck of the whole business sector, and that's very serious.
Okay, well, what does that mean for the financial sector around the world? We saw banking stocks going down today, and what does it mean for South Africa?
What it means, initially, the first question, what's it mean for the world? It means what they call a risk-off scenario. It's going to mean the international allocators of capital, the big fund managers of the world, are going to say, let's just go to security. Let's go to a safe haven. Inevitably, that's the dollar, and perhaps a little holding in gold. But primarily, it means out of risking areas, out of emerging markets of which we're a part, out of the rand. And countries like South Africa, particularly, what's it mean to us? We've got high current account and budget deficits. We have to have a foreign funds inflow, investment flows, to offset that. Well, what's been happening is the inflows have been turning down. In some cases, they've turned down, and it's been net outflows on occasional months. Now, this is another big risk, because we would also face that problem. Where are we going to get the funding from? We don't want to have to face another total onslaught as we had, where foreign funding was denied to South Africa in the late 80s. That's a worst case outlook. Hopefully sense will prevail, but that's a lot to ask of political parties.
So maybe Jacob Zuma should get on the phone to Alexis Tsipras and say, please be reasonable, tell your people to be reasonable. Okay, let's say the vote is yes, Greek people want to stay in the Eurozone.
It seems
Do you think the creditors will come to the party and say, all right, we retrospectively grant you the funds, everything is fine, but surely Tsipras himself will have to go?
Okay, if there's a referendum, yes to the last question. If there's a referendum, that introduces the likelihood of a change in government, as well as whatever the question is going to be. So they'll say, yes, we want to stay in the Eurozone. However, are you prepared to suffer the consequences? The consequences are move towards a balanced budget, stop providing pensions for people who once they get to the age of 55 or whatever it is. They're very generous in these sort of offers. They have to pull these back, and if the Greeks themselves have to say, we're prepared for that for the sake of economic survival. There's a big question mark about that. I'm not sure it's been adequately explained. But as one of your correspondents said, it does depend on the question, and that's going to be difficult.
I guess what you're saying, there's pain either way. There's either austerity or a default, which can be very chaotic and very, very painful.
It's a degree of pain. One way is painful, that is to carry on and have that austerity tightening and tightening. Eventually, they know that it will lead towards balanced budgets, a revived economy, a lower inflation, the ability to build Greece for the Greeks. Without that, to go on their own and go back to the drachma, they won't have any international trading partners. That just means...
My final question, that will be temporary though, because we've seen a whole host of countries that have defaulted. Argentina again last year, and somehow they seem to come back, and then the economy starts growing, and their goods get cheap, and everybody accepts some sort of resolution. Can Greece be depending on that? This has been done before.
Yes, but it's perhaps not a mortal blow to the economy, but the patient's going to have to be on life support for quite a while, and in that period there's going to be a great deal of discomfort, and I think that you'll see unemployment rocket, inflation rocket, you'll probably have to see emigration, people moving out, and what's left? Very little. So it will be a miserable country for quite a long while, except for foreigners who bring along bags of euros to spend on holidays.
Well, a sad situation if you are Greek. Thank you so much, and we'll of course follow what's happening blow by blow and bring you an update tomorrow. I'll be back with Business Review at 6 o'clock then, and I'll have a quick business news update in prime time after 7. See you then.